And now, my beautifuls, even though the doctor is well versed in everything, this is, as he baptized it, his baby. This is his love of research is definitely in here. Doctor?
Yeah, what we are here is one of the closest tie to myself and the industry. As I mentioned to you earlier, I'm also a master cigar maker. So when we were doing the new remodeling of this area, I decided to provide some of our factory equipment. So what you see here is equipment that really work on a cigar factory, specifically with me. This used to be my station back here in the days, and I work and operate from this station for 35 years. These are the presses that used to press the molds to make the bunches, and some of the equipment that we got here that was active at the time. The picture on the back represents the time and an era when we have in that image, we have 505 cigar makers. In the back, we have the apprentices, in the middle, the production workers, in the front, you have the masters. I was a typical cigar factory in Ybor City. The image here corresponds to circa 1927, 1928. On the upper right, you have the lector chair, which we have an active example right here. The lector, he was the person which called as a reader, translation to English. The lector is the person who reads to the cigar makers during their day of work. He was paid by the cigar makers, and basically his routine was he comes in at 9:30 in the morning. He will go up for the first 15 minutes, he read national and international news, and after that he will take a break 15 minutes. At 10 sharp, he will go up to the Tribune, and he will read them high-end books like Shakespeare, Alejandro Dumas, Mark Twain, and he will read them the books and left them on a cliffhanger about 11:15. That's lunchtime. After that, he will step down. He will resume activities back at 1:30 in the same routine until 2:15, 2:30. By then, the day be over for him. He was paid 3 times as a cigar maker. In these days, a cigar maker make $20. $20, our money today be about $3,500. So imagine he's making about $8,000 plus of the time. He's making about $60. Women's love a cigar lector because they were always bachelors, but they were very wealthy, well dressed, smelled good, and very savvy. They knew how to read and write, which was the niche that he occupied because many of the cigar makers didn't know how to read or write very well. So he was not only a reader, he was the educator. By the turn of the century, 1900s, labor force in Tampa was the most educated labor force in the Eastern Seaboard. So that's my synopsis of about the display here that you could see.
Now, Doctor, also you were talking about how well guarded the secret or the art of cigar making was. Can you give me a quick rundown on that again, as you were saying? The percentage of people who actually were doing it, when they let others go in?
Well, contrary to popular belief, cigar makers never consider themselves workers. They consider artisans, number one. If you see the picture, they will wear dress, and they have even wear ties and tie bows and bow ties. So they try to treasure what they knew best. So they were reluctant to teach any other ethnic groups about cigar making. The ones who pull out some of their secrets were the Spaniards because they were their bosses. But eventually, aside of Cubans, the Spaniards were cigar makers too. But no Italians were in the cigar industry at this time prior to 1935. So it was very treasured by them, and that's why it was a trade that generated a lot of money, and they want to preserve that in their own family sometimes. So a father wants his son or his daughters to be cigar makers. One interesting point also, I haven't mentioned that to you, is that this was the first industry in America in which, and a revolutionary movement, in which women's and men's get the same salary level. There was no discrimination. No, even today we have that. Equal salary between sexes. So here, if you were a woman, you receive the same pay and same guarantees as you were a man. As a matter of fact, as gentlemen of the time, late Victorians, women were very protective by the cigar makers. They were not allowed to talk loud or bad to them. Telling bad words, that was a no-no. You could be dismissed or you could be penalized for that. So women were treasured inside the company. Okay, so that's one of the secrets of the cigar industry in Tampa.